Baylor's football schedule is surprisingly easy.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Bears fans. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Baylor, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network in the world. I'm your host, Cam Stuart from Rogue Media. I appreciate you guys making it your first listen today and every day. Shout out you everydayers. Shout out to those of you new to the program. A like and a subscribe goes a long way. Helps me keep my job, that's for sure. Let's talk about the schedule. The schedule is dropped, and I'm not going to lie to you guys. I had a reaction to this Baylor football schedule I did not think I would have. Plus, we got to talk about Baylor basketball. There is a stat that is very meaningful in which they are literally the worst team in college basketball. We're going to talk about it. And a Baylor legend is hanging him up. And it's time he gets a little tribute here on your favorite show, Locked On Baylor. Now let's talk about the football schedule, shall we? Drop this week, and the results are in, and the results are surprising. We will show its face so that you know. I look at this schedule for Baylor, and the first reaction I had was, First off, that according to ESPN's website, $67 is the cheapest ticket for Prairie View A&M. Surprised by that. Same thing for Louisiana Tech. We'll have to check Game Time. They've got the real price out there. But the other thing that kind of stood out to me was, man, the front half of this schedule might be easy. Yes, easy. Easy like Easy-E. Like I'm talking about how bleak this looks for the 2026 outcome. And I'm not going to say that just because they have this, they're going to win 8 games. But the first part of this schedule, Baylor might be able to get through with their head above water. Now, that last month is a horror show. Talk about the gales of November, man. Gordon Lightfoot couldn't have even predicted that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But let's look at the first couple of games. Let's go up to the TCU game, which is the 17th of October and will be the 6th game you play. So the midway point of the season. For all intents and purposes, technically it's one game before that. Auburn on the road. We don't know a ton about Auburn, but I didn't know a ton about them last year, and they steamrolled us. So not loving that. Prairie View. It's a win. It's got to be a win. Louisiana Tech also. Come on. Win. Right? Like, has to be. And obviously, we've seen them lose to the likes of, Texas State early in the season. And if that happens, then yeah, you're going to go 3-9. But I'm talking about a competent Baylor football team, not a great one, but a competent one. They're 2-1 already. Colorado. They're one of the only teams that was worse than you in the Big 12 last year. Colorado was a disaster. An absolute disaster. Like, Oklahoma State was kind of so far beyond everyone else in terms of how bad they were. So it's kind of like it's the 50 feet of crap and then them, right? But right before that 50 feet of crap was Colorado. Like, horrible Colorado. So they're one of the only teams that is worse than you this year in 2025, and you've got them at home. So already maybe I'm being naive, but I'm looking at that as a win right now on January the 23rd, right? It's not like Colorado is just dominating in the transfer portal either. They are top 25, but we know like Baylor's top 30. So it's a little bit of fool's gold there. And we don't know if Dion can coach, like literally, like if he can sustain winning and also literally in the sense of like, his health. I don't know. I hope he can. And then you look at the next one, which is at Arizona State. Now, I'm going to call that one a toss-up as we look at it now. Arizona State was good this year, not great. but good. Obviously beat Baylor on the road, who didn't beat Baylor this year. And they lose Sam Levitt. Like, that was a huge part of their offense when their offense was going well last year. He's gone. That's a big distraction to lose him. You also lose Jordan Tyson. So already you're down your two best players. If you're looking at it from the Big 12 championship team, you're down your best three offensive players from that team back in 2024. It's not a hugely intimidating place to go play. Unless you have a big top 10 matchup in there. Of course, that will not be that. And so it's a toss-up. So let's say the oblong football bounces the right way in that game. You're talking about a chance at being 4-1 heading into that TCU game at home. And maybe there's some juice to that. Maybe there's some buzz to it. By the way, I'm guessing that's homecoming since it's your only home game in the month of October. So maybe there is that kind of juice to it. But I look at that first half of the schedule and I'm like, man, it couldn't have really shaken out any better for Baylor, for Dave Aranda, for DJ Lagway, for the new guys that are inevitably going to be in their starting lineup. This is a good kind of runway to start the season. And, if you're losing to Louisiana Tech, then we're talking about a 3-9 football team, 2-10 football team. But I think this shakes out pretty favorably for them in the first half. Now, the second half, and specifically the last 4 games of the schedule. Yikes. Yikes. In the in-between, at Kansas, at UCF, that is interesting because neither of those places are very tough to play. We've seen with UCF, we heard about how great the bounce house was. I have not seen it in their 3 years in the Big 12 now. Have not seen that place look intimidating at all. And Kansas is the same thing. It's not an intimidating place to play. Both those teams are toss-ups in terms of what they're going to be this year, mushy middle of the Big 12. But then you look at November. Does anyone know where the love of God goes when the waves turn the minutes 2 hours? Okay. Iowa State, at BYU, home to Tech, and then at Houston. Okay. As we look at this right now, being fair, I look at a couple of wins at the beginning of the schedule. Those are 4 losses right there, man. 4 losses. Iowa State, at BYU, Tech, and then at Houston. So you have got to win those games early in the season. Like, you've got to start. I think potentially you have to start 4-1 to think about being 6-6. Like, for reals, player. You're going to need a run in the beginning of the season. And I'm hoping that, I don't know what we're going to get out of Auburn. I like Golish. Maybe that is a quick turnaround for them. But A&M, Prairie View A&M, and Louisiana Tech, and even Colorado, those have got to be get-right games for DJ Lagway. Some, show that big arm that you got, show that you're going to throw to the guys in the green and gold, and we're feeling pretty good going into that TCU game, whether it's 4-1, maybe even 3-2. But you've got to get your wins out of the way, so to speak, before you head into November. If you're going to be a bowl team, you're probably going to want to have 6-5 wins in September and October, because that is an absolute gauntlet at the end of the season. In fact, I'd go so far as saying that nobody in the Big 12 has a tougher month in their schedule than Baylor has in November. But hey, that's what you get. That's how it shakes out, man. That's how it crumbles. You avoided BYU. You avoided Tech last year. The time is coming. You avoided Iowa State. The time of reckoning is here. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about the schedule. I know it's tough to tell in January, but I really like how that shakes out the first month and a half of the season almost. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Of course, it comes at you every weekday in the morning, drop it on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. Coming up next, let's talk about Baylor basketball. It's not going to be a fun conversation. One of the leading stats experts in the sport is saying that, yes, in this key stat, Baylor is the worst basketball team in America. That's coming up next on Locked On Baylor. But first, today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. You know them, you love them. They are in playoff mode, just like you and me. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack just waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you're going to see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts that you can apply to the bets that you like the most. I always talk about it when it comes to profit boosts. You know, those bets where you're like, I feel really good about this, but is it worth putting this amount down to get just this amount? And in the NFL playoffs, like that's all you got, man. Like the spreads are not big. You know, the over-unders are not crazy. So when you've got a hunch on something, you're going to want these profit boosts to get the most out of your money. They let you lean into your game day instincts, the defense, the QB play, especially this week, the coaching, man. It gives you more juice on the bets you already like. So every play feels bigger, and the boosts that make your bets feel that way too. You make your picks, then apply your profit boosts for even bigger payouts while you get the playoffs rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL game day with FanDuel. Back here on Locked On Baylor. It's not the last time I'll say this season. We've got to talk about Baylor basketball. This is rough. Tech the other night, really brutal. You're going to go on with that game as scheduled tomorrow against TCU. I hope you guys are all safe out there. Like, seriously, I know that can get pretty rough when winter weather hits like that in Texas. There's not a lot of infrastructure for it. But this was brutal. And I get it. Like, they got really hot shooting the basketball, Tech did the other night. But I'm sorry. Like, you look at this team this year, and you look at where this program is 5 years after winning a national championship. It's not a place you want to be. It's not a place you want to be at all. It has progressively gotten worse. We're seeing it on the floor, and we're now seeing it in the stats. I know a lot of you follow Evan Miyakawa, has a great website where she's just going through kind of like the advanced stats in college basketball. It is a good predictor of what teams will win in the NCAA tournament, win the conference championships, win in the long run. And Evan Mia teased having something pretty good for this Baylor team. And there's a stat that is going to make you cringe a little bit, but we got to talk about it. Let's hear from Evan.
Struggling this year, and there is one key stat that really sticks out to me about them. Their opponent strength adjustment at evanmia.com. Baylor is the worst team in all of Division I when it comes to playing up to competition. The blue bar here means that they really struggle to have good performances against the best teams on their schedule. Here's the worrying part. It's been like this for the last 3 years. Last year, Baylor was the 7th worst team in the country when it came to their opponent strength adjustment. The year before that, they were the 4th worst. It's pretty rare for a team to be consistently this low from year to year, but that's what Baylor is doing. It's a worrying trend for the Baylor Bears that they can't play well in their biggest games.
It is. It's extremely worrying. It's bad. It is the sign of the times for Baylor basketball right now. And there's so many questions before I get to this one. There's so many questions around this program that have been running through my mind in the last week. And I do want to give them the attention they deserve. So I'm not going to get into all of them right now. But specifically, program building, transfer portal, one and dones, whether Scott Drew's method of coaching, I don't want to say works anymore, but is beneficial to them in this landscape of college basketball. It's a big, serious question. But first, this one that is staring us in the face is really brutal. They're bullies, man. They will beat up on the weaker teams, and they will not beat the teams that are at their level or better than them. And I've got bad news for Baylor fans. There aren't many teams in this conference that are not at your level or better than you. Most of them are better than you. This is shaping up for a long season. And honestly, it's shaping up to be, if this trend continues, it's shaping up to be Scott Drew's worst team since he had a full allotment of scholarships. Like, that's how bad we're talking. 15, 20 years here. And again, like, this is, I've heard people say, oh, well, they've lost to all these top 15 teams, right? Iowa State and Houston and Tech. And I say, yeah, I know. But first thing, they're getting their butts kicked every time. Like, they're getting slaughtered. They're not even in the same arena as these teams. It's kind of embarrassing. Like, they're not even in spitting distance of these teams. And the second thing is, that is the Big 12. You're going to be facing good basketball teams every night. And every other game, you're playing someone inside the top 15, top 20. That's how it is. There's no nights off in this league. We can't tout that for years when Baylor's good and then say, well, they'll get lucky or they'll do this and they'll make the tournament. Like this right now, that trend, they're not making the tournament. And I hate saying that out loud, and I know most of you hate to hear that. But unless something drastically changes, they're not making the tournament. And we're talking about, I love that Evan pointed this out. It's not just this year. Third worst, fourth worst. They're getting worse every year since the national championship. And like, you can't afford to be getting worse as a team and be getting worse at playing good teams. Like, I don't know what to tell you. There's no Arlington Baptists in this league. There's no UT Arlington. There's no Prairie View. There's no Sam Houston or Tarleton in this conference. You are SOL if you can't beat anybody that's as good or better than you. Like, you think back to last year. Who did they beat that was good? Kansas at home. We saw how that season played out. Was Kansas that much better than Baylor? No, not really. You played a couple of games tight, but you played a couple of bad teams tight. You lost to Colorado. You remember that? You beat Arizona State in overtime on the road. Arizona State stinks. And that's the company you're keeping right now. Arizona State, Utah, Kansas State, Colorado. These teams suck. These programs are terrible. Bobby Hurley's been at Arizona State 11 years. He's made the tournament 3 times. That's the kind of company you're keeping right now. And Scott Drew went on Matt Mosley's show. I was listening to it yesterday. And, he's talking about the injuries and, Jocelyn Bodo and Michael Perez are not there. And, using the thing again, it's like the Patriots losing Tom Brady. It's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. No. If Jocelyn Bodo and Michael Perez are the Tom Brady's, Patrick Mahomes of this Baylor basketball team, then you might not win any games. Like, I'm sorry. If you're touting them as like the GOAT and you can't win without them, then yes, this is they're not going to win many games. They might win 2 or 3 conference games. And that's what I'm worried about right now. It's looking very bleak. Very bleak. But to be literally the worst in the country at playing up to your competition. I said before this season, I thought you would see a throwback Scott Drew team. And what I meant by that was a lot of rotation, good defense, a couple of good shooters out there. Probably not going to be in the rankings. Probably not going to be a Final Four challenger, Big 12 championship challenger. But tournament team, hustle, tough to play against every night, going to stub some toes out there. That's not it at all. It's not it at all. Those teams could play up. Remember, I remember when 2014, 2015, 2016, these kinds of teams that I'm talking about, like I remember they won in Hilton Coliseum, I think 3 years in a row, when Iowa State never, ever, ever lost there, ever, except to Baylor. Like, those are the kind of wins they could pull off. I remember a couple of top 20 wins my freshman year, which was 15-16. They beat Xavier, who was a top, maybe even a top 10 team in the country at that point. Like, they beat some good teams. This team cannot do that. And it's been that way a couple of years. If that's not a concerning trend here, I don't know what is. Like, that's where I get really frightened. I get really, really frightened because you look at the schedule and, there's a couple of winnable games there, right? That, that's kind of the nature of the bottom part of the Big 12. But like, looking at it right now, TCU at home, like TCU's better than you. It's not by that much, but they're better than you. Cincinnati at home, or excuse me, on the road. Cincinnati is at home. They just beat Iowa State. They might be better than you. West Virginia away. I call it a toss-up, but how often do you play well in Morgantown? Colorado at home. You should be better than them. At Iowa State. Yep. BYU at home. Number 23, Louisville at home. Yep. Those are all losses. All of them. Kansas State on the road? Hope so. Kansas State's pretty bad, but we know how Scott Drew does against his former assistants, specifically Jerome Tang. Arizona State at home, got to be a win. Arizona, keep that within 30, please. And then at UCF, Houston, Utah. Like, again, you're talking about 5 conference wins there? And I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping they can turn it around. I still like some of the pieces on this team, but I got to say, I'm probably more disappointed in the pieces than I am. There's more of the pieces I'm disappointed in than guys I'm like, yeah, he exceeded expectations. So let me know what you think in the comments below. How many games can this Baylor team win in the Big 12? Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We come at you every weekday in the morning on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. The #1 Baylor football show on YouTube. Appreciate you guys making it your first listen today and every day. We're not done yet. Okay, let's talk about a Baylor legend who doesn't get talked about enough, shall we? That's coming up next on Locked On Baylor. But first, how about TurboTax? Yeah, guys, we're getting in that time of year. Tax season does not have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off like Jarrett Stidham and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or the guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out the forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person, or you can get connected online. They handle everything. W-2s to self-employment forms and everything in between. Upload the documents, go about your day, get updates right in the TurboTax app. Huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing that there's an expert handling this. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. And if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th to get that $150 all in. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local, LOCAL, to book your appointment today. Let's give our flowers to Mike McGraw. Bit of surprising news this week. Mike McGraw announcing his retirement, Baylor's golf coach. I don't know anything about golf, but I do know who Mike McGraw is because he's an absolute legend in this sport. And it came as a bit of a surprise because he did say that he is retiring to help his wife, who is going through some health problems right now, taking dialysis 3 times a week. And so, obviously it's tough to give that commitment that you would need to as a coach while your wife of 30 years is going through this. So it once again kind of shows who Mike McGraw is, man. And he's someone I've gotten the pleasure of talking to only a few times, but just an absolute class act. And you're seeing that here. But just wanted to take a couple of minutes, man. Talk about a legend. Like, if you don't follow golf, I get it because I'm there with you. But Mike McGraw is one of the names in the history of college golf, like one of the top names. 28 years in Division I, 42 years coaching. Oklahoma State, Alabama, Baylor, Oklahoma State, one of the great programs ever in men's golf. And Mike McGraw came here and kind of gave a real legitimacy to Baylor golf, like a real reputational bump when he got here. One, to read from the release that has all the numbers here. 12 years at Baylor, took them to places they'd never been, 20 team championships, 13 individual titles, and 11 All-American selections. And how about this great note? I believe this is from Matt Roberts, who is the great SID with Baylor golf. Prior to his arrival at Baylor, they had advanced to the NCAA championship 5 times in program history ever before he got here, with McGraw's teams topping that with 6 appearances in the last 9 NCAA championships. And I'm sorry, it feels like I'm reading from the article, but like this is from Doug McNamee, the new Baylor AD. It's hard to overstate how blessed we are to have had Mike McGraw lead our men's golf program for over a decade, and how thankful I am to call him a mentor and a friend. But I think he hits the nail on the head right there. Like this was a blessing to have someone of that ilk, right? Of that ilk in the sport to come to Baylor, who had just kind of existed for a while as a Baylor golf as a golf program. Mike McGraw came in here and made them national contenders, man. Like national contenders. And obviously he had cut his teeth with Oklahoma State, great program, won a national championship there. And I mean, you've got people on the PGA Tour now that have played their golf at Baylor. Like it's crazy. Oklahoma Golf Hall of Famer, by the way. I mean, I think he should be like the Oklahoma Golf Hall of Famer. Johnny Kiefer, that's the name of the. He's on the PGA Tour, baby. I know that. I know that because Mike McGraw is such a legend, dude. I don't even watch the PGA. I do hope that, you know what? Here's my pitch. And maybe I'm overstepping because I don't know that Mike McGraw's wife, Pam McGraw, needs this. But if I had to give this idea to Baylor, I would. And that is, we all love the Baylor golf gear. These Sailor Bear, he's golfing. They have terrific, like, dry fit hats that I would just give anything for. Why don't we do a line? Not like that. Why don't we do a line of Baylor golf gear with the golfing Sailor Bear? And we could have all the proceeds benefit the McGraw family. Like, it's a way to get the great gear that you love, that everyone's wanted, and also genuinely a way to show our appreciation. Like, again, you talk about a guy who elevated this program, and we have been blessed at Baylor. It's been a tough year for it. But to see, like, in our lifetimes, in the last 20, 25 years, still people that were at Baylor that completely took programs from nothing and completely elevated them to national powers. Mike McGraw with golf, that's the most recent. But we, unfortunately, Clyde Hart passed away just a few months ago. Legend, man, made Baylor into one of the top track programs in the country. Kim Mulkey is another one. Baylor women's basketball was nothing before Kim got here. So, it's just been a pleasure that, you don't have to be that old. You don't have to be a Baylor fan of 50, 60 years to have seen these people make the impact at Baylor. Mike McGraw, tip of the cap, man. Tip of the cap. And I would gladly buy several of the Sailor Bear things and wear them on this podcast, but I know that's not what they're looking for. But I just think that could be a great idea. That was literally stream of consciousness. So hope that's not overstepping by any means. So Mike McGraw, tip of the cap to you. One of one. One heck of a career, man. Totally. So salute Mike McGraw in the comment section below. Please do. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, that stuff too. Thank you so much for making it your first listen today and every day. And seriously, guys, I am praying for you down in, most of the southern U.S., but definitely in Texas and in central Texas. I know it's going to get bad. It's going to get bad there this weekend. My thoughts go back to Snowmageddon and the power outages and the busted pipes, like the roads, man, it's going to be ugly. So you guys are definitely in my thoughts and prayers. I'm now obviously back up in the Northeast. We're going to get hit pretty hard too, but we have the infrastructure for it. Texas, I wish did, because something that turns from could be just a regular storm in most other parts of the country, not even missing school, it becomes life-threatening in Texas. So definitely prayers are with you guys. Stay in, stay safe. this weekend and into next week. And we will talk to you on Monday on your favorite show, Locked On Baylor.